I greet you. Welcome to the Swara News Hot from the Pot. Today we have a presentation by Comrade Barak, who will be telling us his mind about apartheid, what he thinks is the cause of apartheid. Please, ladies and gentlemen, borrow your ears to the comrade, since he is one of those who experienced apartheid. Let us kindly give him time to speak his mind about apartheid. Thank you.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Barak, Comrade Barak. As the presenter have mentioned, I am one of the people who have experienced apartheid firsthand here in South Africa. We know that apartheid have been here for quite a long time, and apartheid was developed during the so-called era of the Boers, as you know, the Afrikaners, taking over our country, taking over everything. Why are we speaking about this? That's the question that we are asking, and that's the rhetoric question that needs answers. Why are we talking about this? You see, we will never, as South Africans, be free when the word apartheid is still in our minds, still in our mouth. It will always be the chain. It will always enchain us in everything that we do, academically, financially, socially. Everything will be put into chain because of what happened in the past. How do we break off these chains? It's very easy. It's very easy. You see, the apartheid regime, as we know it, have affected mainly blacks, Indians, and colors. And all those whites were so privileged. They had all of these things. Free education, everything was free for them during the apartheid regime. And for us, our ancestors didn't benefit nothing. They were regarded as the so-called minority, although logically they were majority. It doesn't make sense. Those white people made fool of us. They made stupid of us. They made ridicule of us. How can a minority occupy a land of Africans and assume position of the majority with paying disregard of the people who are living there? It is absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, although it was ridiculous, we were so patient until they push us so far. And I know that most of you guys know about the June 16, 1967, when the Soweto uprising, it was the students who had enough of the apartheid regime. They took it in their own hands and said, no ways we're gonna land in Africans. They took it to their own hands. They had enough. So, as they so called it, they said it was an uprising. It was never an uprising, but it was revolution. And revolution during then was needed. There was great necessity for a revolution, because if there was never a revolution, there will be absolute genocide in our own country. We will kill each other in our own country. But because we had enough of this apartheid regime, we took it in ourselves to say, had enough. We're not going to learn another language besides our own mother tongue. We took it. Yes, indeed, people died. Yes, indeed, people went to exile. Yes, indeed, people got imprisoned in Robben Island and all the stuff for revolution. Apartheid was no more. De Klerk came and said, Mandela, you are free. Mandela came. 1990, he came, led the ANC, African National Congress, led the country. 1994, got the freedom. But the question still remains. I know that the John Slovo clause during the negotiation of the TRC and so forth and so on, they said that we're going to discuss about the land reformation, taking the land back to the people after the election. But that thing never happened. We still need our land.
Yeah.
As black people, that's what we want.
As comrade is speaking, and we are still privileged and have time, we have some certain questions before he finish. We want to know since Mandela was released in 1990, we want to know what was exactly happening during 1990 and 1994 until South Africa received freedom.
Well, I thank you, Mr. Presenter, about the question. You know, the era between 1990 and 1994 is one of the most controversial political turning points in South Africa by far. Because I remember that in the 1990, the reason why de Klerk decided to release Mandela is because of the uprising. People had enough. White people have been killed, black people have been killed. It was a depiction of a country that was going on a rampage, and it was a depiction of a country that was in a civil war. Civil war. There were no international countries that had any say. Any say. But thank God to people like Oliver Tambo, during the era, they went to campaign in America for the release of Mandela, and for the grace of God, Mandela was released. That was good. Now, that era, 1990, a new South Africa. We needed a new South Africa. The leader was out. Nelson Mandela was out, but he was not the president. Now, what happened? De Klerk and his own government, they wanted that, no, the ANC, so-called political parties like Mandela and all that stuff, they're gonna share power. You see, there will be a certain percentage of blacks who are gonna be in power, certain percent of whites who are gonna be in power. That's what de Klerk and the National Party, which is the apartheid government, they wanted. They negotiated that. However, the ANC and the other parties, they didn't want that. They didn't want power share. They wanted the majority rule, of which it is something ethical that the apartheid government should have implemented years ago. You see? That's why the 1990, they wanted this majority rule. And that's why it took 4 years for negotiation. 4 years. It was called CODESA, Convention of a New Democratic South Africa. CODESA. Of which it was very, very awkward, because I remember CODESA 1 met. The National Party was there, the ANC was there. However, they met at this place in Pretoria. But they didn't do nothing. They planned to appoint members to prepare for CODESA 2. CODESA 2 met. CODESA 2 met. Then when they met, it failed. Whatever they did there, it failed. Because the ANC and the other political parties, including the NP, the apartheid government, they did not agree in the system of South Africa. South Africa was not clear if it would be a democratic country, a communist country, a socialist country. They were not clear. Some wanted regional power, some wanted the majority rule, some wanted this and that. It failed. You understand? And Mandela played a central role in that gathering, because Mandela led the ANC in the walkout of CODESA 2. He walked out because Mandela was not justified by the NP's involvement in the violence. They claimed that they didn't do nothing. However, we know it was a political vendetta. Political vendetta that the NP with the IFP during the so-called era, they fabricated war, violence in townships. Many black people fought against black people. That's what the white wanted. They wanted we black people to fight with our own black people. And they succeeded. That's why Mandela was so very furious about it. Very frustrated. He left CODESA too during the negotiations, because he knew that de Klerk and his own government, they were behind the violence that was happening in the township. Anyways, as the time went on, the negotiations were delayed. Mandela and de Klerk, they knew that we need to come up with a plan. A consensus must to be reached to build a new South Africa. That's why Mandela appointed Cyril Ramaphosa, who is currently now the Deputy President of South Africa. Back then, he was the right-hand man of Mandela. He appointed Cyril Ramaphosa as the leader of the ANC to sign a record of understanding. And the NP appointed, I forgot his name, he's an Afrikaans guy. They signed the record of understanding that we need to continue no matter what happens, no matter what circumstances happens, but we need to continue with the negotiations. They continued with the negotiations. However, a time came when a group of Afrikaners called the AFP, led by that notorious Afrikaans guy who is called, I'm sure you know him. This guy is a very, very big Afrikaans guy. He's part of the thing. He was killed recently, 2009, by a black guy in his own farm.
I remember, by a knife or something.
By a hammer. He was hammered and put it in his wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
That guy, Eugene Telebranch.
Yeah.
Eugene Telebranch and his fellow Afrikaners, they came to bring chaos in the negotiation. Imagine, after signing the record of understanding, they said, we are going to continue. Who said it? The blacks and white. We're going to continue with the negotiations. However, this typical Afrikaans guy came with vehicles running through the building, bringing chaos in the negotiations, because they were not happy with what majority rule. They knew that we black people, we are the majority, and if that particular Codesa agreed in power in majority rule, we were going to rule. And what about them? They brought chaos, literal chaos, Telebranch and his friends. But that didn't stop the negotiations. That's when John Slovo, one of the ANC guys, he's also part of the Communist Party. He was part of the Communist Party back then. John Slovo came and said, let us vote first. After we have voted, 994, after we have voted, therefore that's where now the certain things of bringing back the land will come. So-called shares and all that stuff will come after negotiations. 1994, 27 April, it happened. So, what happened next? We're still waiting.